let's go ahead and bring on uh, Cara and Danny from the state of Washington because they have some pretty awesome things to share with us
Awesome. So
tonight.
Washington State, you guys are woke.
Washington.
We're in Washington. That's right. We're in Seattle.
Oh wow! So that were you part of Chop and Chaz and all that crap?
We stayed away from
Okay.
Chop and Chaz and all that other good stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
So tell us a little
Yeah.
about yourselves. What do you do for a living?
Yeah.
I'm a business administrator. I run businesses, do bookkeeping and HR and all that kind of stuff. And Danny works in ship repair. He works down at the shipyard on these huge Navy boats and ferries and does things that I don't quite understand. Yeah, that's what we do.
Does he sound like a sailor, like a pirate when he talks?
Let's
Oh
see.
no.
No, he doesn't wear an eye patch.
Tell me that would be
It's like
cooler,
a
would it not? If
sailor
you sounded like a
sometimes.
pirate. Yeah. Okay.
Sarah said he does curse like a sailor.
Okay.
So,
how?
Sarah and Danny, tell us. I met you guys in the last live 2-day in Seattle, right? Was that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, tell us about that. What happened there? What made you change your mind, or what helped you take that step into becoming members in February 2020?
Well, Danny came home one day. You would listen to Dell in the car.
I was listening to him in the car every Monday, every Sunday on the way home, and I was like, I pitched her a lot of different things, and I was like, no. And then this one caught her attention.
Yeah, I've always been interested in real estate, but it seems really daunting and overwhelming and something that if you made mistakes, it could be pretty disastrous. Then when he came home and said, hey, there's this free 2-day thing, I was like, sure, let's go check it out. And honestly, as soon as we got there, the vibe, it just felt really authentic and didn't feel like there was anything kind of scammy or gimmicky. It was just a lot of just straightforward information, and it was super transparent. And for me, it was a no-brainer. We went to the back of the room and signed up.
So here you guys are in 2020, February. In March, the country locks down. What's going through your head as far as Lifestyles Unlimited doing the real estate thing?
We just went for it. I mean, we started just taking all the classes online and learning about it. And as soon as those email blasts come, and then you start answering, and maybe you're the second person or you're the third person and you miss out. So you start getting a little more confident and going after some more because you don't always get them. And then one day, like, we were first. We're like, oh my God.
For the folks listening really quick, what she's talking about is, if you come to my seminar this weekend, I'll talk about something called email blasts. We have realtors, we have them in Tennessee, we have them in Georgia, we have them in Phoenix, we have them in San Antonio, Dallas, Houston, that send out deals to the membership that they can buy. And that's what they're talking about in email blasts. And I'll explain more about that this weekend, but that's what they're talking about, just so you know.
Yeah, let's go to the next slide, Dave.
Sure.
All right, so this is the property that you bought. So you finally landed a property.
Yes.
And this was in San Antonio,
right?
We've got some before and after of the kitchen. And
wait, do you guys live in San Antonio?
No, we live in Seattle.
Did you guys ever fly over to San Antonio to take a look at the properties? I want to know that.
We did go once. We kind of made an excuse to have a weekend getaway, to meet some people on our team and to see San Antonio. We had never been.
Okay.
All right. Did you go to the river walk and stuff?
Oh yeah. We did a bunch of touristy stuff, and then we also did see the house.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
I was too curious not to.
All right. Let's go ahead into the next slide. Now, these are two totally different pictures before and after. Tell us about this.
Yeah, so on the left, that's a laundry room, which was just really in bad shape, and there was a lot of improper electrical work and plumbing. I think these might have been the original owners of the home. They had been there for decades and decades and decades. So there was just also a lot we couldn't see until the home was vacant. So actually, because it was owner occupied until it was sold, none of us actually saw the walls or went into the panel and had really a chance to snoop around because the owners were a little elderly and they were very concerned about having people in the home because of COVID. So
Right.
there was a lot we didn't know until we got in there. So yeah, the left is a laundry room and the right is the bathroom,
The
like the
bathroom's
hallway.
already redone here, right? Dave, let's go back to the previous slide because I want to point out something. Now, I remember talking with you, and you were showing me the scope of work, and the general contractor was quoting you on replacing the cabinets, right?
Yeah.
And then I looked at the pictures and said, "That's wood. Don't replace it."
Yep.
Yep. So
Yeah.
a lot of times, and this is what we do as mentors, we help you take a look at those things. And when we were talking yesterday, you also pointed out that the backsplash is actually not changed out, right?
Yeah. I
So
don't
how
think
did this
the
affect?
countertop's not changed out. I think that's all the
Okay.
same.
So how did this affect your bottom line as far as money?
It saved a ton of money. There are a lot of ways that you can still use what's in the house and just refresh it and make it look good. And another example is resurfacing the tub.
Mhm.
Phenomenal. I didn't even know this process existed. They pour something over there and then heat gun it dry. Looks like a brand new tub. So no, you aren't going to replace everything. And you were very helpful with that first house, Joe, when you're like, this stuff is useful. Reuse this. Don't.
Yeah, she wanted to tear out the cabinets, and then I think you told her just paint them. They
Yeah.
look good.
Good.
And they look.
So I have a real quick question because
Great.
there's people watching for the first time. They've never done this before. How much work did you physically come down and do on this property? How much did you guys do?
Nothing. Oh, I went to Home Depot and I bought address letters.
There you go. Well, that's my point for people. We never lift a hammer. We hire other people to do the work for us. You're supposed to be an
Absolutely.
investor.
So
Okay.
I'm going to guess that Danny was glad it was not a ship. Otherwise, he would have put a hand into it, right? All right, let's go to the next slide, Dave. So here's the numbers on it. Did we miss another slide?
Nope, that was it.
Okay. All right. So this is the numbers, and tell us about this. You got it for 108?
Yeah, we got it for 108, and then we had to do some significant rehabs. So it was about 29. I think my screen is blocking some of the numbers here, so I need to maneuver myself, Joe. But if you could maybe just walk me through it instead.
Joe, can you see him or should I see him?
I'm sorry, David.
Can you see him, Joe?
Yeah, I can see them. Your equity after purchase before doing the rehab and paying for the closing costs was 57. Your equity capture was $18,000. Your total cash out of pocket was 39. Your return on equity capture was 46%. And
how many people watching or in the room who'd be okay with a 46% return from day one? It's not bad, right?
so I ran the numbers on their property, and it's right now at a 189.
It went up in value since then, yeah.
It went
because
up
we
in
had that
value.
run up, yeah.
So, and their rent is low.
Okay.
So what's happening in the market right now is rents are skyrocketing. It's the last thing to catch up with all these inflationary things that are happening. And
Thanks,
I
Joe
went
Biden,
and I
right?
looked
Yeah.
at their rents, and I told them, you need to raise your rents when they're. And when are you going to be able to do that?
The lease renews in March.
Okay.
Awesome.
Just
So
more
they're
money.
going to be getting more money into the bells. All right.
Cara, how do you thank your residents next year? What are you going to do in March?
We're gonna charge them more.
I mean, other than charging them more,
That's what I
maybe
mean. You can raise the rents, right? That's how you thank them every year. You make more money.
Yeah.
Good.
Work.
Making sure you understand.
So, and you're making a cash on cash return of 12%. And that's a lot more. I would say, let's see, it's several thousand % more than anything you're going to make in a bank, even in a money market, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if you're
So
making
one of the things that we're going to,
if you're in like large cap stocks making 4% right now and you can make 12%, that's 3 times better, right? 300% more than what you were making, and it's tax free.
it is. All right. And one of the things that we're talking about that I've told them to take a look at for this following year, they weren't able to write off the taxes on this property because they hadn't gotten a tenant into the door and hadn't rented it out. But they're looking at a huge tax advantage this year for this property, and because they've got another property under their belt as well that's under rehab, right?
Oh, cool.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, Dave, let's go to the next property. Next slide. Sorry.
Okay.
And this is I thought this was pretty awesome because you shared some things with me that you wanted others to know. So go ahead and go down the list here and then just expand upon this for us because I think that your thoughts are really awesome on what you have to share.
Okay. First, you don't need a lot of money to invest. We didn't really cash out any stocks or 401ks. This was actually funds that were savings and also some equity on our house. We pulled a HELOC on the house and used that. So you don't need to have a ton of money. You just need to get started. Once you get started, everything just changes. Once you get one done, then all the possibilities just open up for you. And you don't need to live where you invest. We're not doing the work. I hire experts who do the things that they do for a living. I trust them. I pay them. And you don't need to be there. We went there for fun to go to San Antonio just to check it out and find kind of a reason to get out of town. But we didn't need to be there. And also to use the program. So, your membership, you really get a ton of access in your membership. So going online and taking the classes, but even more than that, reaching out to people, your mentor. I mean, I think in the beginning, Joe, I just CC'd you on like every single email about this first property and you didn't mind and you chimed in on details, you chimed in on big stuff. And it just made me feel confident and more comfortable that I had an ally. And then everyone was an ally because most of the people I worked with were vendors. So they knew the program. They're also members. And I also felt like I could trust them more because they were vetted, members and vendors. So yeah, use the vendor list. The online list is amazing. And, ask people, ask a ton of questions, ask a ton of questions of everyone. And everyone that we've encountered have been so helpful, so open, so transparent. There's just this abundance mentality that there is plenty for everyone to just pursue. And that's just across the board at Lifestyle. That's been our experience.
And one thing I tell members when I mentor them is don't be afraid to ask questions. The best thing you can do for yourself is ask questions. Okay, Dave, let's go to the next slide.
Really quick, Cara, there's people watching for the first time, never seen this before. It's new to them. It's foreign to them. They're all scared and nervous. Think back to when you first joined, what advice would you give to somebody brand new watching the first time?
You're there for a reason.
Yeah, that is true. Okay. That is true. You chose this and you showed up because you're looking for something. And then once you're a member and once you can get online and take those classes, but I'm telling you, once those email blasts start coming out, just go for them. There you go. Just go for it.
That's very common here. Take action. It's great you get the education, but you got to do something with it. So I love that.
You can't. There's not going to be a perfect time or there's no perfect. Just do it.
And Danny, I want to see are you really from Seattle?
No, I'm actually from Idaho.
Okay, so you don't have a man bun? I just want to know.
No.
Okay.
No, I cut all that off.
Okay.
I think you did have a man bun when I met you last year.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell us about how Lifestyles has changed your life, guys.
Well, it's definitely given us options that we didn't know that we had. Neither Dan nor I are really super conventional when it comes to, the life trajectory that we're kind of all cultured into. So it makes sense for us to go after things that might be a little bit off of mainstream. So this gave us a lot of options for our future. We don't necessarily have a strict game plan. We know some, large things that we want, but this just gives us a different pathway to follow. And, already just with one house that's bringing in money every month, building equity, and then this other house that's under rehab, we'll have tenants in there end of the year, maybe the beginning of next year. I mean, already we have more options. We turn our head, a year passes, and it's like, well, we can almost cash out refi on that first one and get another house. And I think I'm starting to feel that kind of cumulative effect that everyone talks about once you get started. And what else? And we're meeting other investors. We go to the expo. Expo is super fun. It's fun for us to go to Texas. We actually got to dig Texas. It's such a cool state. Everyone is so nice and everyone just is themselves. It's a very authentic feeling state. So we meet other investors and hear their stories and connect with them on Facebook.
Yep.
And that's been really cool.
Come and visit me and I'll take you to the gun range.
Oh,
All
yeah.
right.
That'd be fun.
Okay.
He has these little guns. They're only this big.
I'm getting bigger guns. Who's on your team, guys?
Oh, let's see. We have a really huge team and I lean on them so much. Your lenders are so important. They're helping you get the house and then go from a hard money to a conventional loan. So Longhorn for us is so great. And then we're going to use Amp Lending, Rich over there, who's super cool. He calls me every 3 weeks, like, hey, how's rehab going? You think we're going to, do the conventional this month? I'm like, yeah, I don't know. It's taking a little longer. He's checking in with me on his own. He's just putting me on his calendar. Awesome. And that's just so cool.
He's also a CrossFitter. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yes, make sure you bring it up. He's a
CrossFit from afar. I did not know that.
He's a CrossFitter and he's also vegan. So you should get along because you're from Seattle.
I guess.
He owns a CrossFit gym.
I grew up in New Jersey.
Oh, okay.
But I've
and you
lived
talk
for 11
normal.
years,
Okay.
Who else? Kevin Bain. I know Kevin by his first name. I don't even know the name. Big State. Mm-hmm. I don't even know the name of his company. I just know him by his first name. Found him on the vendor list. Super nice guy. We're like Facebook friends. His daughter runs track. I don't know. He's just so friendly. He's been super helpful because I'm not there. I'm not going to see this house. I send Kevin down there. He checks it out, sends me pictures, gives me his advice. Wow, I'm not an expert. So who else? OmniKey. We use a property management company. I know a lot of investors like to do their own landlording. I do not. The fee that I pay them a month is worth its weight in gold to me.
Plus it's a tax write-off.
Oh yeah, plus it's that. So OmniKey is great. I'll probably use them again for my second house. And then we use Blue Light as a general contractor. We also use Rob Robles from Subventures for some of the work on our house. And then Joe Flores, our mentor, with us the whole way. And awesome. I so appreciate all the advice you give us. You're fantastic. And I know everyone knows you. I don't know how you make time for everybody, but it looks like you do. But
well, I look up to everybody, so that's not a problem.
So I want everybody to understand this. We want you to do this for yourself. We want you to make great rate of returns, but don't do it by yourself. It's a team sport. So you see, these people made a team around them, whether it's the realtors, whether it's the mentors, whether it's the GCs, they built a team and took action on it.
Yeah. All right. So what's next for you guys? This is pretty powerful right here. Tell us.
Well, we got to get this other house rehabbed and rent it out. This house really needed a lot of love. We're at a point, we're also the type of investor. I said we didn't have a lot of money. That means we're buying some severely distressed homes, like severely distressed homes. So they need a little love.
I always say it's like going out on a date with a girl for the first time. It's a blind date. And this girl isn't pretty. She talked back twice and has two black eyes. That's the ones you're picking, right?
Yeah.
Fixer-uppers, right?
Then we send her to the salon and the spa.
There you go. See, you get it.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Look what you married. He's a fixer-upper.
You should see. So, my wife got me on braces now. It's finally my turn for my rehab.
After all your kids, you're like the last one to get them, Joe.
Yeah, well, she commanded me to do it, so I obliged.
That's it.
Looking out for you.
All right.
So yeah, we'll get this house rehabbed, rent it out, and I think we want to have about 5 single-family homes over the next year and a half.
So Danny and Cara, before you did the first property, would you believe it was possible to do the 5 in the next year and a half?
No.
But now you do, right?
Yeah.
Now it's just
It seems far-fetched out there, but then once you do it and you get into it, it moves along pretty fast.
Yeah, just do it all over again. It's kind of weird how your whole mind frame kind of shifts that this seems very doable.
Yep.
It's like getting those cheddar cheese Pringles chips, in the thing, and trying to eat just one. Has anybody ever eaten just one chip?
Yeah.
Eat the whole
If you
thing.
can, no.
Yeah. Same way. It gets addictive, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we're excited. So yeah, 5 properties we think, and then we're thinking about becoming preferred. I want to call us pigs, but I don't know if everyone knows that yet. Yeah. Preferred investors. We're thinking about that. You know, after doing these single family homes, sounds kind of nice to just write a check and then get checks in the mail.
Yeah,
it is. It's fun. It really is fun.
That sounds nice. So we might do that. And then in a couple of years, we will probably leave Seattle and go get dozens of acres of land out in
your own private Idaho.
Have a little homestead, I think.
That's cool.
That is awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah. I think that is pretty awesome.
Are you guys willing to take a few questions?
Yeah, sure.
Sure. So I might have questions in the room. I might have. Do you have any online already, David?
Yeah, I do. Did the HELOC reduce the overall cash flow on the deal?
The HELOC, I pulled the HELOC from the home we live in, our primary residence, and then I just used that cash to put my down payment on purchasing the home. So where some people would pull from savings or cash out of 401k, I just pulled cash or equity out of our home.
So for people listening for first time or don't understand what she's saying, she took a loan against personal residence at like 3%, and then she bought this house with that money that makes her 10%. But that 3% loan, can you write that off on your taxes? Yeah. So really, what's the cost here? Well, it's a net of 7% plus she's 50% return on top of that. So it's well worth it.
The other thing is a lot of folks in the East Coast, West Coast, and Hawaii actually utilize HELOCs to be able to do investments both in multifamily and single family. In the state of Texas, you can do a HELOC as long as you've never done a cash out refi on your primary home. So there's a little gotcha. So make sure you're talking to your lender. Absolutely. If you've got a mentor and your challenge or preferred member, talk to your mentor about that and your lender before you start looking into taking out a HELOC. Just
great question. You have another one, David? Just one? Anybody in the room want to ask a question? Right there? Okay. Jacob will give him a microphone. Do you turn on? It's not working? I'll get you a different one. Let me steal David's. Oh, you got it now? You got to hand it to him with it on next time. There you go.
How's that? Okay, there we go. Okay, with property managers, I've got two single families, and I just got a property manager to take it fairly recently. Take both of them fairly recently here because we're making a major plans for a major move here pretty soon. So I was wondering about when you do the rehabs and stuff, get them ready to rent, and then as soon as they're ready to rent, I mean, do you turn them over to the property manager and say, "Here, get these things rented"? Is that your plan? Like if you pick up?
So the question is, what was your timeline? Did you wait till it was fixed up to give it to the property manager, or did you do it?
No, they were
I know what Cara's going to tell you.
Yeah, as soon as it looks pretty on the outside, let me know. We'll take pictures. As soon as it looks pretty darn close on the inside, let us know. We'll come and take pictures. So I'm giving them progress on the rehab so they can kind of get in as soon as possible to get usable pictures.
So here's my recommendation. If you're new, and I teach this in the seminar, the second you close on the house, the very next day, once you're funded and own the property, you put a sign in the yard or you hand it over to property management. Why then? Because a good renter needs to give a 30-day notice to their current landlord. So they will have the first month deposit, the first month's rent before it's ever even finished being fixed up. That's the right way to do it. So you want to do it ahead of time.
Hey, Dave, another point here with regards to Cara and Danny using a property management. Our vendors understand Lifestyle's model. Normally, property management companies will want the house to be in perfect condition before they start taking those pictures. But because the vendor, the property management company that she's using, understands our model, they go ahead and will start advertising, marketing it before it's completed because they know our model and what you teach.
Yeah, like Cara says she's using OmniKey, and I use them myself on some of my properties. She probably has 100 rentals herself. So she thinks she knows our model inside out. Of course she does. So that's a great example of building that team with experience.
Yeah, no, as soon as we purchased the second house, I called Sharon over at Omni and said, "Hey, we have a second house." She's like, "Okay, keep me posted." So like Joe said, like the day I closed on that second house, they're already renting out our first one for us. I told her, "Hey, this is coming down the pipeline. about 8 weeks. And she's like, okay. And we'll just stay in touch.
There you go. Got one more over here.
So y'all did a hard money loan. Did y'all refinance it after the house was repaired, or are y'all waiting for that? Because I heard you say
Yeah, Cara, did you already go through the refinance period yet, or are you still in the hard money?
We're in
On the
hard
first
money
one.
on the second home. The first house.
You
has
totally went
been-
through. Yep. So she did both on the first one.
okay. So as soon as it's done, you get it reappraised, and then you refinance.
Yeah. So what happens is once you're done getting it all fixed up and everything, you get the lease. You have a person there. You have a binding contract.
Need a lease.
Then you do the rate and term refinance right afterwards. Absolutely. Great.
Yeah, and like Cara was sharing, she was working and communicating with the conventional lender so that they knew what was happening, and that they were actually working already in the background, getting the pre-approval or the underwriting done, so that by the time that the rehab was done, it only took a few days after that to send out the
Okay. We
appraiser
have
and
one
then
last
close
question,
on
I
the loan.
think, or no? Are you walking around or no?
I got
Oh,
one.
One right there. He moved up 2 seats.
Yeah, from
He's not in the pot section anymore. You're not 420 all day.
I'll go in the front.
Okay.
Okay, so can I ask why did you decide to invest in Texas?
Yeah. The question is, what made you decide, Cara, to pick Texas? Great question.
No particular reason. We were getting just a bunch of email blasts from there. These were the areas when Danny and I sat down with Joe when we first became members. We went through our finances. We went through our plans. He's like, okay, you're looking for these homes. You're looking for this kind of out of pocket. And that home just kind of fit what we were looking for numbers wise.
So it was the numbers. There was no emotional attachment this state over that. It was
No,
what
no.
is landlord
Well,
friendly, what
Washington-
numbers make sense. That's how you made this
Yeah.
logical.
In Washington, it's super expensive.
Okay, we
But we
got
can
one
never do
last
that.
one for you in the room here.
Just wondering if either one of the houses were wholesale deals, or were they?
Were they
personal-
wholesale or were they like MLS
And how
deals?
scary was that if they were?
Both of them were wholesale deals.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're both wholesale deals. And I'll explain what that is this weekend.
And how scary was that doing that for your first deal? Because that seems.
You know, you just go for it. I don't know. I just knew it was going to work out, and we just went for it. It wasn't scary. It was exciting.
They
Like,
literally
very
did
exciting.
go for it, and she would email
see
me,
what you
here's
did
what's
there.
happening, here's the inspection, here's
Yeah.
scope of work, and I would take a look. Okay, hey, stop, don't do this on the scope of work. And then
Mhm.
we go from there.
All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. I really appreciate it, guys. Thank you, Joe, as well.